Hello, my name is Tanya Perlin. I'm a lawyer, certified mediator, and a wellness coach for self represented litigants or litigants going through the court process. I would like to talk to you today a little bit about mental health, specifically for self represented litigants. I have been asked over the years certain questions, and I compiled them today for the short video to maybe give you an idea of what mental health issues certain self-represented litigants or litigants in general face, and perhaps what resources are available to help while you're going through this very difficult process. So one of the first questions that I want to go over is, do mental health issues make it more difficult for self-represented litigants to go through the litigation process? In my view, mental health issues make it more difficult for any litigant to go through the litigation process. If you're suffering from anxiety, PTSD, depression, or any other mental health issues, it makes it much more difficult to understand the litigation process, to go to court having to face the other side or counsel who may be arrogant or rude or unkind in certain situations. It may be very difficult to understand what the judge is saying to you when you're already anxious or experiencing symptoms of PTSD. And so, for a person who's not suffering from mental health, the process is very stressful and very difficult. But for those who do suffer from mental health issues, I think the hurdle is much more difficult. So in general, I think that the legal profession and social workers and whoever is involved in the litigation process needs to be aware that sometimes when we see a person struggling, it's not because they're struggling for reasons of trying to be arrogant or not disrespectful to the court. They are probably struggling because they may have mental health issues. My next question is, how does the litigation process contribute to stress, anxiety, and other mental health issues for self-represented litigants? Litigation process is a long and tedious journey. The documents that self-represented litigants have to fill out on their own without any help are numerous and difficult, and sometimes the process is very, very hard to understand. So the anxiety of having to deal with documents that you have never seen, the anxiety of having to come into a court that may be a first time for you, or the anxiety of having a lawyer on the other side who is very aggressive or litigious. Anxiety when a judge may say something that you don't understand. All of that contributes to provoking more symptoms, whether it's anxiety, depression, or PTSD. So the process, the new process of having to go into litigation and not knowing what to expect, who to deal with, trying to file documents, which may not be an easy process in and of itself because there's a lot of bureaucracy in having to file documents. And if you fill them out improperly, you have to come back. The stress of this process, in addition to the life stresses that you're already experiencing, most of us have stress in our lives, family, health, work, and in addition to that, having to go through litigation is very, very onerous, especially for self-represented litigants who don't have a lawyer who can guide them, who can do most of the work for them, where they have to do all the legal work, have to represent themselves in court, and then having to go through the difficulties of experiencing their own case, having to go through your own process is very anxiety provoking. You're worried about how the case is going to resolve, how financially it's going to affect you. That happens to every single litigant, whether you're self-represented or not. But the added stress of having to prepare your own documentation, having to go to court by yourself is very, very difficult and will create or contribute to already existing mental health issues. Some of the stressors or anxieties that self-represented litigants will have, I've already discussed this, but potentially anxiety, PTSD, depression, all of those mental health issues can be exacerbated by the stress of having to deal with the litigation process, the bureaucratic side of it, the adversarial side of it, and the length of the litigation process, because it is usually a very lengthy journey. If you're in small claims court, it's a little bit shorter. Within 2 years, you could be done, maybe even less. With the Superior Court of Justice, it's a little bit longer. Sometimes cases range from 6 to 8 to 10 years. And having to have that in your life and not being able to relax and go get on with your life is very, very difficult. Another question that I was asked was, what can self-represented litigants do to reduce stress and minimize the effects of litigation on their mental health? It's not an easy question, because the litigation process in and of itself and not knowing when things are going to be over already creates the stress and anxiety and contributes to mental health issues. In order to reduce it, there are many ways that one can try if you have the time. One of those is perhaps you could try meditating, taking 5 or 10 minutes during the day. There are a lot of resources on the internet, on YouTube, where you could just take time and find a meditation that is good for you. Some of my clients say to me, well, we can't sit and meditate. Our thoughts are disturbing us. We don't like to concentrate on our breathing. And I said, well, you could find a meditation that is just music. Anything that will take your thoughts away from your daily worries or what's coming up next, even for a small period of time, a small break, will actually help to lower the cortisol, lower the stress-inducing hormones, reduce and calm your breathing, and just give you a breath of fresh air. Sometimes we say even a breath, we call it a measured breath, where you can breathe in a deep breath to a count of 4, hold it to a count of 4, and breathe out through your mouth for a count of 4. Any type of physical activity, going for a walk in nature, sitting outside in the sunshine. I know we don't have a lot of sunshine in Canada, but as soon as you have some sun, to be able to go outside and have a breath of fresh air, to walk in a park, to walk where there are trees, and giving yourself permission to take that time for yourself will be a great stress reducer, as we say, will reduce your stress levels. Because anything that will take your mind away from your problems, from the issues, from having to deal with the idea that you have to go to court tomorrow, or you have documents to prepare, any small break is going to give you a time to relax a little bit, to have your mind rest. And when the mind rests, you can recharge. So I always, my clients will say to me, I don't have time. Well, even if you take 10 minutes, those 10 minutes will give you so much more energy and such a boost and a recharge that you are going to be more productive in your work. You're going to be calmer when you attend in court or when you have to make a phone call. So anytime you feel that that stress is building up, you can always have a couple of go-to meditation audios, or taking a 5-minute walk, or taking a measured breath. It's something that you have to have in your toolkit. And this is what I work a lot with my clients, developing a toolkit that when you are stressed and when you feel that you just cannot go any further, you can look into that little imaginary toolkit and ask yourself, what can I take out in order for the stress levels to be reduced. And so, as I said, it's very helpful to have audios for meditation, even for 2 or 3 minutes. If you can go for longer, it's great. If you can't listen to an audio, if you can walk outside for 5-10 minutes and breathe, just take those short, deep diaphragmatic breaths so that your nervous system can recharge and can relax. Even now, when I take a breath, if I was just going to say to you, let's take a breath together. Through your nose and release through your mouth. Suddenly, we just feel calmer. And it's practice. Meditation, stress relief is not something that you get in one moment. It's practice. But if you start, even for a few minutes a day, it will help you in the long run, not just through the litigation process, but in everyday life, but especially in the litigation process. And of course, if you can find a good therapist, if you can find a social worker who can help you through, as you're going through the litigation process, someone to talk to, someone to give you some pointers. Wellness coaches, somebody like me, may be able to help you as you're going through a litigation process. So if you can find someone to help and someone to talk to, it's very, very helpful in those moments. Another question that I was asked is whether a self-represented litigant should tell the court that they need accommodation for mental health issues. This is, again, a very difficult question. Yes, resources are available and accommodation is available, but it has to be your choice whether you feel safe enough to mention this. A lot of my clients have said they don't feel safe enough because they feel the lawyer on the other side may take it against them and use it against them, or the judge may see them differently. I would say that more often than not, people will be more tolerant, including lawyers and judges. They will give accommodation and they will not hold it against you. However, you need to feel comfortable. If the anxiety is high and if the symptoms are such that are preventing you from presenting properly, then I would say, yes, you should ask for accommodation. Many times I have seen litigants, self-represented litigants, ask in court, can I have a break? I'm feeling anxious. I am not feeling well right now. Can we take a 10-minute break? Can I just walk out of the court? Sometimes it's good to have a friend there. And I would just say a mental health advocate. This is not a person who's going to speak on your behalf necessarily, but a support person. And when you come into court, you can say that, I'm experiencing anxiety or I have certain mental health symptoms right now, and I have a support person with me. I would like this person to sit with me at my table. I would like them there. And your support person can also tell the other lawyer or the judge at moments when you're not feeling too well that you need a break, and that you would ask through your support person, could we take a break right now or adjourn or whatever is necessary that will allow you to better focus on your case. So again, it's a personal preference, but I would urge you that if you do have a support person or you feel that the mental health symptoms are preventing you or hindering you in your presentation to the court, you should possibly, if you can, it's hard for me to say you should, but it would be advisable to tell the other side and to tell the judge what's going on so that they don't draw unnecessary conclusions that you are just not paying attention or that you don't care. They should know that the reason you're not able to perform at your best at that moment is not because you're disrespectful to the court, but because you're really anxious or upset and you need a break. And like I said, I have seen many self-represented litigants ask for a break. And it was wonderful in court because people accommodated them, they felt supported, and they felt that they can go forward basically within the next 10-15 minutes or half an hour. And they felt better and understood and validated. And that's a very important point. And last but not least, I want to leave you with a thought that having mental health issues does not mean that you are weak or that you're not able to function. It's a reality. People have physical ailments, other people have mental health issues, and some people have both. And we should never be embarrassed to voice our concerns and to tell people that we have a mental health issue and we need accommodation or help. If a person has an illness, they are accommodated for it. If they have a disability, they're accommodated for it. So if there's a mental health issue that is preventing you from doing the best possible job that you can in self-representing yourself, then you should be accommodated for it as well. And always try to find support and help, whether it's through a therapist, a social worker, a support person, or just a friend who understands and who wants to support you. I wish you luck, and I thank you very, very much for listening to this video. All the best.